Have you ever been in a place that felt so safe, so perfectly calm, that it made you suspicious? A place where the silence itself feels a little too loud. They say to beware the quiet ones, but sometimes you have to beware the quiet places. Because it's in those picture-perfect towns, under the soft glow of well-meaning streetlights, that the deepest shadows can hide. And sometimes, the only thing standing in the way of those shadows is a memory. This story begins in a place like that. Havenwood, Oregon. A town that smells of pine needles after a fresh rain and looks like it was plucked right out of a postcard. Tonight, the rain is falling in a soft, steady rhythm, a gentle drum beat on the roof of a beat-up old pickup truck making its way down a lonely stretch of highway. Inside that truck is Alara Vance. But if you saw her, you wouldn't see a hero. You'd just see a woman with worry etched into the lines around her eyes, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. Her focus isn't on the road ahead, but on the small makeshift crate on the passenger seat. Inside a tiny ball of fur, a stray puppy she'd found shivering on the side of the road, its leg clearly broken, lets out a soft, painful whimper. Every sound from that crate sends a jolt through Ilara's heart. The goal is simple, primal and urgent. Get this tiny, fragile life to the 24-hour vet in the next town over. That's it. That's all that matters. In that moment, she is not a soldier, not a veteran, not a ghost from a past life. She is a rescuer. And for an animal lover, there is no higher calling. As the windshield wipers swipe away the rain in a hypnotic rhythm, her mind drifts. It's funny, she thinks. She spent years of her life seeking out storms, thriving in chaos, in places where the sound of helicopters was a lullaby. She commanded respect in environments where a single mistake could mean the end of everything. But now all she wants is quiet. All she wants is the peace she's trying to offer this little creature beside her. She glances down at her hands on the wheel. These hands which once gave silent commands that could bring the most powerful animals to a perfect heel in the middle of a firefight are now just trying their best not to tremble. And that's when the memory is shattered. It starts not as a sight, but as a sound. A jarring, ugly siren that rips through the peaceful symphony of the rain. Then the light. A strobing, disorienting assault of red and blue that fills her rear-view mirror, painting the inside of her dark cab in flashes of panic. It's an invasion, a violation of the quiet she so desperately craves. Her heart doesn't just beat. It thuds against her ribs like a trapped bird. Every instinct, every nerve ending honed by years of training screams at her. This is wrong. This isn't a routine stop. On a deserted road in the middle of the night with no other cars for miles. This feels different. This feels personal. She pulls over the gravel, crunching under her tires like breaking bones. She takes a deep, steadying breath, the same kind she used to take before stepping out into a sandstorm. She tells herself to be calm, to be compliant. But as she watches the silhouette of an officer approach her window, a cold dread begins to creep up her spine, colder than the Oregon rain. Because she knows this isn't about a broken taillight or a speeding ticket she didn't earn. She can feel it in the air. This is a ghost from her past, walking out of the storm. The officer taps on the glass, and she slowly looks up, but she already knows who she's going to see. And she knows this night is no longer about saving a puppy. This night is about surviving a grudge. But what she doesn't know is that the man standing outside her window is about to make a terrible, terrible mistake. He thinks he's cornered a lonely woman in a storm. He has no idea he's about to face the one person on earth who knows his darkest secret. The officer who stands outside Ilara's window is a man carved from cynicism and cheap coffee. His name is Officer Miller, and his face is a roadmap of petty grievances. Rain drips from the brim of his hat as he leans in his presence, sucking the very air out of the truck. Beside him, a younger, greener officer, Deputy Chen, hangs back his flashlight beam, dancing nervously across the wet pavement. He looks like a kid who just realized the monster in his closet might be real. Miller's voice, when it comes, is exactly as Ilara remembers, a low, gravelly sound full of unearned authority. He doesn't ask for license and registration. He doesn't ask if she's okay. His eyes fix on the crate. "You got a real mess in here," he says, his lip curling in a sneer. "What's in the box?" Ilara's voice is steady, betraying none of the storm raging inside her. "An injured puppy. I'm taking him to the emergency vet in Silver Creek." Miller lets out a short, ugly laugh. "Is that so?" He shines his own flashlight directly into her eyes, forcing her to squint. And in that blinding, invasive light, a flicker of recognition crosses his face. His sneer tightens into something far more malicious. "Well, well," he says, the false friendliness in his voice colder than any winter night. "Ilara Vance, I knew I recognized that wreck of a truck." And there it is, the plot twist that changes everything. This isn't random. This isn't procedure. This is an ambush, years in the making. The puppy in the crate, the rain, the lonely road, they were all just props on a stage set for revenge. You see, Ilara Vance wasn't just some face in the crowd to Officer Miller. She was the star K-9 handler at the Havenwood Sheriff's Department, the one everyone respected, the one the dogs trusted implicitly. And she was the one who had thrown it all away for what he considered to be the ultimate betrayal. Let's go back 2 years. Picture a sun-drenched training field. Ilara is working with her partner, a brilliant German shepherd named Riggs. Their connection is like a dance, silent, intuitive, perfect. Across the field, Miller is struggling with his own K-9, a magnificent golden retriever named Leo. Miller is yelling, yanking on the lead, his frustration boiling over in the summer heat. Leo, confused and stressed, fails to locate a hidden training packet. And then Miller does the unthinkable. He draws his taser. He claims it was a disciplinary correction. But Ilara saw it for what it was, a vicious act of cruelty against a loyal partner. What do you do in that moment? Every cop knows the unspoken rule. It has many names. The blue wall, the code of silence. You don't rat on your own. You handle things in-house. You look the other way. To break that code, especially for an animal, is career suicide. But Ilara looked at Leo, whose spirit had been momentarily broken by the man he was supposed to trust, and she made a choice. She filed a formal complaint. She wrote down every detail, attached witness statements from a horrified rookie, that same rookie Chen, who now stood behind Miller, avoiding her gaze. Her complaint wasn't just buried. It was shredded. She was labeled a troublemaker, a liability, a traitor to the badge. Her shifts were changed. Her partner Riggs was reassigned. The job she loved was poisoned from the inside out. So she resigned. She walked away, leaving behind the only life she'd ever known, all to protect a dog that wasn't even hers. Now, 2 years later, that act of courage has led her here, trapped in the blinding glare of Miller's flashlight. He hasn't forgotten. And he certainly hasn't forgiven. For him, this is justice, a chance to finally put the holier-than-thou K-9 handler in her place. He sees her glance at the whimpering puppy. "Still collecting strays, I see." Miller spits the insult, landing with precision. "Some people never learn." He straightens up, a cruel idea beginning to form in his eyes. He looks back at his patrol car, at the caged unit in the back. He turns to his young partner, a wicked grin spreading across his face. "You know what," he says, his voice dripping with venom. "I think this situation calls for a little specialized assistance." He nods toward the K-9 unit. "Chen, bring out the asset." Ilara's blood runs cold. She knows exactly what he's planning. He's not just trying to intimidate her. He's trying to mock her past, to use the very symbol of her life's work against her. But as Deputy Chen reluctantly walks toward the K-9 vehicle, Miller is making a catastrophic miscalculation. He thinks he's about to unleash a weapon. He has no idea he's about to unleash a memory. The sound is unmistakable. It's a sound Ilara knows better than her own heartbeat. The heavy thump of a K-9 unit door latch, followed by the metallic jingle of a collar. It's a sound that promises either salvation or destruction, depending on which side of the cage you're on. Miller's grin is pure poison. He thinks he's playing his trump card. He believes he's about to unleash a monster that will finally break Ilara Vance. But the creature that emerges from the back of the patrol car is not what you'd expect. It's not the sleek, intimidating silhouette of a German shepherd. It's not the muscular, hyper-focused frame of a Belgian Malinois. No, the dog that steps into the flashing red and blue lights, its coat, looking like spun gold in the rain, is a stunningly beautiful golden retriever. For a split second, the scene is absurd. A golden retriever. The quintessential family dog. The face of wholesome dog food commercials being deployed as an instrument of intimidation, Deputy Chen himself looks confused, as if he's grabbed the wrong tool for the job. Miller, however, just keeps smiling. He thinks this is a stroke of genius, a poetic psychological cruelty, using a friendly breed to terrorize the dog lover. But he's not just cruel. He's a fool. Because as the dog lifts its head, its intelligent brown eyes scanning the scene, Ilara stops breathing. The world around her goes silent. The rain, the siren, the thumping in her own chest. It all fades away. Her mind races, rejecting what her eyes are seeing. It can't be. After all this time, it just can't be, but it is. It's Leo. The same gentle soul she saw Miller tase on that training field 2 years ago. The very dog whose silent plea for help had cost Ilara her entire career. She thought he'd been transferred, sold, anything, but still here, still under the command of the man who had hurt him so badly. And this is the moment you understand the profound, catastrophic mistake Officer Miller has just made. This is a lesson that applies not just to police work, but to life. Bullies have one fundamental flaw. They see the world in terms of tools and targets. Miller looks at Leo and sees a weapon, an asset to be deployed. He believes the dog's loyalty is to the uniform, to the leash, to the threat of punishment. He completely, utterly, and dangerously misunderstands the nature of a K-9 bond. That bond isn't forged in obedient school. It's forged in 1,000 shared moments. It's in the quiet praise after a successful track, the scent of a trusted handler's jacket, the specific pitch of their voice that means, "good boy." It's a connection that goes deeper than training. It lives in the heart and in the memory. Scientists have shown that a dog's brain reacts to the scent of their trusted human in the same way our brains react to the presence of a loved one. It's not just loyalty, it's family. Miller thinks he's brought a weapon to a confrontation. What he's actually done is brought a key witness to a crime scene. He's brought Ilara's oldest and most loyal friend. And now, as Leo's eyes lock with Ilara's, a silent conversation begins. a language spoken across time, across trauma, across the pouring rain. A language Miller cannot hear and will never, ever understand. And it's a language that is about to change the entire power dynamic on this lonely road forever. If you've ever truly loved an animal, you know that the most important conversations happen without a single word. It's in a glance, a touch, a shift in energy. It's a language of the soul. And right now, on this rain-slicked stretch of asphalt, Ilara Vance is speaking that language fluently. The change in her is profound. It's like watching a switch being flipped. The fear, the vulnerability, the identity of the civilian just trying to get by it all recedes, burned away by the reappearance of an older, stronger self. The handler. Her shoulders straighten. Her breathing, once shallow with panic, deepens into a slow, controlled rhythm. Her eyes, which were wide with shock, now narrow with an unshakable laser-like focus. Miller, blinded by his own rage, sees none of this. He only sees a dog that isn't obeying. "Get her!" he screams, his voice cracking with fury. "Attack! It's a simple command." But Leo isn't listening to the words. He's watching the woman. Ilara doesn't move a muscle. She just raises her left hand slowly to shoulder height, a casual, non-threatening gesture to the untrained eye. But to Leo, it's a lightning bolt from the past. It's the old command for watch and wait. It means, don't react. Just observe. I am in control. Miller bellows again. "What are you doing, you stupid mutt? I own you." As he shouts, Ilara does something even more subtle. She exhales, not a sigh of fear, but a long, slow, deliberate release of air. It's a calming signal, a technique she used countless times to settle Leo's nerves during thunderstorms or before a tense search. It's a breath that says, "I am here. We are safe." Disregard the noise. And you can see the conflict tearing Leo apart. His magnificent body is a statue of indecision. His head is turned toward Ilara, but his ears are twitching back toward the furious shouts of his handler. A low whine escapes his throat, the sound of a loyal soldier being given two contradictory orders from two different commanders. One is screaming at him through a megaphone of rage. The other is whispering to him through a language embedded in his very soul. This is the difference between a boss and a leader. A boss commands through fear and intimidation. A leader guides through trust and connection. Miller was Leo's boss, but Ilara was his partner. One demanded obedience. The other had earned his loyalty. Frustrated beyond reason, humiliated in front of his rookie partner, Miller makes a final, fatal error. His ego can't handle being ignored. He decides if the dog won't do the job, he'll force the issue himself. "Fine," he snarls, his face a mask of fury. "I'll do it myself." He takes a heavy, aggressive step toward Ilara. And in that single, threatening motion, the conflict in Leo's mind evaporates. The choice becomes brutally, beautifully simple. The orders are no longer contradictory. There is only one thing left to do: protect his partner. It happens in a fraction of a second, but for the people standing on that road, time stretches into an eternity. Miller takes his step. It's a predator's move, a lunge designed to assert dominance, to close the space, to intimidate. It's a move he's likely used 100 times before on people he deemed weaker than himself. But he wasn't lunging at a person. He was lunging at Leo's entire world. Before Miller's foot can even fully land on the pavement, Leo moves. But it is not the explosive, aggressive attack of a K-9 unit. It is something far more profound, far more powerful. He doesn't bark. He doesn't snarl. He simply breaks formation with a silent, fluid grace. He walks calmly, deliberately, and plants his body directly between Ilara and the advancing officer. He becomes a living shield, a golden wall of unwavering loyalty. And then, and only then, does he make a sound. It's not a bark of aggression. It's a growl, a low, deep, guttural rumble that seems to come from the very center of the earth. It is the most definitive sound in the animal kingdom. It is the sound of a line being drawn. A sound that says, with no room for misinterpretation, "You will not pass. You will not touch her. Not while I am here." The universe holds its breath. Officer Miller freezes mid-step, his face a perfect mask of slack-jawed disbelief. The tool has defied the master. The weapon has refused to fire. The world as he understands it has just tilted on its axis and thrown him off balance. Behind him, Deputy Chen lets out an audible gasp. He is witnessing a miracle, a rebellion. He is seeing a creature of pure instinct make a moral choice, a choice more honorable than any he has seen from his senior partner tonight. And Ilara. Ilara finally breaks. The iron wall of control she has maintained crumbles into dust. A single tear escapes her eye, then another tracing a path down her cheek and mixing with the cold Oregon rain. They are not tears of fear. They are tears of profound, heart-shattering relief. Tears of gratitude. Tears of love for this incredible animal who remembered her, who chose her, who was willing to defy everything he had been trained to do in the last 2 years, all for her. This is the very essence of loyalty. It's a question we all face in our lives, isn't it? Where do our allegiances truly lie? To the job title, to the uniform, to the person who signs the paycheck, or to the one who showed us kindness when we were vulnerable, to the one who earned our trust? In that moment, a golden retriever on a lonely highway gave a masterclass in integrity. He chose his partner over his handler. He chose love over fear. He chose what was right over what he was ordered to do. The growl subsides, but Leo does not move. He stands his ground, a silent guardian, his gaze fixed on Miller. The tension is thick enough to choke on. The rain continues to fall, and everyone knows without a single word being spoken that the game has just changed. The power has not just shifted. It has been completely and utterly redefined. There's a fascinating moment in any confrontation when the balance of power shatters. It's not always a loud, explosive event. Sometimes it's a quiet, crushing realization. It's the look in a bully's eyes when he finally understands he has zero control. And that is the look on Officer Miller's face right now. He is a man who has built his entire identity on a badge, a gun, and the authority they represent. But in this moment, they are meaningless. His ultimate weapon, the K-9 unit, is now guarding his target. His rookie partner is staring at him with something that looks dangerously like contempt. And the woman he set out to humiliate is standing in the rain, exuding a calm authority that makes his own feel like a cheap imitation. He is utterly, completely powerless. And that's when Ilara speaks. Her voice is not loud. It is not angry. It is the calm, steady voice of a commander who knows she has already won. She doesn't even look at Miller. Her eyes are locked on the magnificent golden animal standing guard in front of her. Leo, she says the name a soft prayer in the rainy night. Heal. The word hangs in the air for a heartbeat. And then, without hesitation, Leo breaks his protective stance. He turns, walks to Ilara's side, and sits with perfect, practiced precision, his head held high, his eyes gazing up at her as if she were the only person in the world. He has chosen his commander. The debate is over. Elara finally turns her gaze to Miller. She doesn't gloat. She doesn't threaten. She simply states a fact, delivering a lesson he should have learned years ago. He was never just a tool, she says, her voice carrying the weight of her sacrifice. He was my partner. That simple statement is a more devastating blow than any physical strike. It highlights his fundamental failure, not just as a K-9 handler, but as a leader. And it's the final push for Deputy Chen. He's seen enough. He has a choice to make in this moment, a choice between his career and his conscience. He looks at his senior partner's face, twisted with impotent rage. He looks at the woman standing with quiet dignity. And he looks at the dog, a perfect picture of loyalty. He makes his choice. Quietly, so quietly, it's almost lost in the rain, he reaches for his radio. He doesn't look at Miller. He speaks into the receiver. "Dispatch, this is Unit 7. Situation is de-escalated. We're clear. Stand down." It's a small act of rebellion, but it's everything. He is signing off on Miller's failure. He is siding with Elara. He is closing the book on this ugly chapter. The spell is broken. Elara gives Leo one last lingering look, a silent promise that this is not the end of their story. Then she turns, gets back into her beat-up pickup truck, and starts the engine. The whimpering from the crate reminds her of her original mission. As she pulls away, the flashing red and blue lights of the patrol car are no longer a symbol of menace. They are just pathetic blinking lights in her rearview mirror, illuminating two men left standing in the rain. One defeated by his own cruelty, the other just beginning to find his own courage. The lights get smaller and smaller until they are just a forgotten memory swallowed by the night. And as she drives toward the warm, welcoming lights of the vet clinic, she isn't just a survivor anymore. She is a victor. And the most important chapter of her story and of Leo's was just about to begin. The story of what happened on that rainy stretch of highway never made it into an official police report. It became something else entirely, a local legend, a whispered tale about the night a woman silenced a storm with nothing but a memory. But legends don't get justice. People do. Elara made it to the vet, and the little stray puppy, who she named Stormy, survived. But her story didn't end there. Deputy Chen, true to the courage he found that night, did something remarkable. He filed a full and detailed report of the incident. He didn't just report what happened, he told the truth. He detailed Officer Miller's personal vendetta, his reckless escalation, and the incredible moment of loyalty from K-9 Leo. His report triggered an internal affairs investigation that Miller couldn't sidestep. And while the wheels of justice turn slowly, they do turn. The investigation led to a full review of the K-9 program, and Leo was immediately removed from service, deemed unsuitable for duty, a label Elara knew meant he was too loyal, too good for a handler like Miller. And then, a few weeks later, Elara got a call from Deputy Chen. He told her that a certain golden retriever was being medically retired and was available for adoption. It was a long shot, he said, but he thought she should know. The final scene of our story doesn't take place in the rain under the glare of flashing lights. It takes place on a quiet, sunny afternoon. Elara is sitting on the porch of her small, rented farmhouse. At her feet, a clumsy, happy puppy with a slight limp Stormy is trying to chase a butterfly. And lying beside her, his head resting peacefully on her lap, his golden coat shining in the sun, is Leo. He is home. There are no sirens here. There are no angry men. There is no fear. There is only the quiet hum of a peaceful afternoon, the gentle weight of a loyal friend, and the feeling of a story finally coming full circle. Because this is the ultimate lesson. True strength isn't about the power you can wield over others. It's about the integrity you refuse to give up, even when it costs you everything. True communication isn't about who can shout the loudest. It's about who takes the time to listen to the quietest voice. And the most unbreakable bonds in this world, the ones that can truly save us, are not forged in steel or enforced by law. They are forged in moments of trust, in acts of kindness, and in the silent, unwavering courage to protect one another when the storm finally closes in. Isn't it incredible how a single moment of connection can change everything? We all have stories of animals who have shown us what true loyalty, courage, and love really look like. And I want to hear yours. Down in the comments below, tell me about an animal that has changed your life. What did they teach you? Let's fill this space with stories that remind us of the good in the world. And if you believe that stories like this matter, stories of hidden strength, unexpected heroes, and the unbreakable bonds we share, then please hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We have so many more stories to share, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, be kind, and never, ever underestimate the power of a loyal heart.